Hey, do you like mobile gaming? Well, have you ever wondered like what was the first mobile game like to ever be created? You know, you go on the Google Play Store, download Subway Surfers or PewDiePie Tuber Simulator, and you just game all day. But what was the first game on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store? There's kind of a lot of answers to this because there's two main apps that you get games from: the Google Play Store and the Apple Store. Now, I don't like Apple, but we're still gonna look at it, okay? So let's start with Apple, because Apple actually has a very nicely documented history, while Google's is just messy. I'll give you a little bit of props, okay, Apple, even though I deleted my account. So the first ever app to be released on the iTunes Store was called iTunes Remote, which is just like a little utility app for basically using your iTunes library on Wi-Fi. And that's it. It's just a very simple app, but it was the first. You know, pretty interesting, but we don't really care about this weird little app. We care about the first game on the iTunes App Store, okay? So the very first game was called Texas Hold'em, which is basically just a poker app. So the very first game on Apple is poker. There are actually a lot of games released on the very first day of this thing being created. That was one of many games, but there were actually a few more released alongside it. Like, this is right when Apple made the App Store, okay? Right when it was released. You could get a bunch of things like Bejeweled. Oh, I hate Bejeweled, dude. That's the worst game. I just have bad memories with that one, that's all. It was just annoying to me. Cubist 2, Mahjong, Mini Golf, Pac-Man. Hey, Pac-Man's cool. Tetris, Texas Hold'em, Vortex, and Zuma. So Texas Hold'em was the first one to like be officially released alongside Remote, I guess. And then these ones were shortly right after, which is very interesting. This was like 2014, you know? No, this was earlier. This was 2006. So holy crap. Now this article brings up something really cool, and that's Tetris. Tetris is the very first mobile game in the entire world. Now that's kind of special because Tetris is like a very iconic game. You know, like growing up, I'd see older relatives always be talking about Tetris and playing Tetris. It was like, okay, all you're doing is stacking shapes, but it's actually really fun to play. Like, Tetris is awesome. And it's such a little simple game that it was able to be put on like these super old retro phones. In 1994, it was first introduced. That's crazy to think that 1994, the first mobile game was ever released. What the heck? Mobile gaming in the 90s? I can't even comprehend that. But now, let's go over to the Google Play Store. Now, the Google Play Store wasn't always called the Google Play Store. It used to be known as Android Market. I don't know why they renamed it. I will say though, Google Play does sound a little bit nicer. But on the very first day that Google Play was ever like opened up, there was a lot of apps that were just flooded. And there's no real way to find what the very first game on that Google Play Store ever was. This was like 2008, so there were a lot of like really lame games like compared to today, but also a lot of iconic ones. So if you search what was the first game on the Google Play Store, Quora, which is a very trustworthy, reliable website, says it was Angry Birds. I played Angry Birds. It's fun. Now, Angry Birds was released in 2009, so it doesn't exactly make sense how it could be the first game but a year after everything, right? But if we gotta elect a game, I'd say yeah, let's say it was Angry Birds, but we'll never know for sure what the first game on the Android apps gameplay on the Google Play Store ever was. And that's just the way she goes, you know what I mean? But hey, a lot of people remember a lot of apps from the very first day of when the Google Play Store was ever released. Like this guy on Reddit says, look at all these things. A lot of different apps like Chomp SMS, Launcher Pro, Compare Everywhere. They didn't even have an app that you could watch videos on. So you had to download a video player from the Play Store. Isn't that insane? So yeah, there were a lot of random, weird, crazy apps. My personal favorites were like the ghost trackers or like the gun, you know, the screen's a gun. Classics. So let me know down below what your favorite app is and what's the earliest app you ever remember using, huh? I want to hear your comments. Thanks for watching, and of course, fly on.